Sorry, that is not me farting. It's the chair moving against the table. I'm not farting. Again. Okay, let me move so that it stopped making that noise. Hello, Natural Mummy. How are you today? So I'm gonna quickly just apologize from the onset. Please excuse the lighting. I am recording quite late and I actually don't have the correct lighting as yet, so there is a little bit of a glare on my glasses, which is coming from my PC screen, and I tried to DIY lights, which is not always the best, especially when you're obviously wearing glasses as well. So please do excuse the quality of this video from a lighting perspective, but I do hope that you will enjoy the content of what I am going to be basically providing to you this evening. And it is basically to sulfate or not to sulfate. Now, yes, sorry, that is not me farting. It's the chair moving against the table. I'm not farting. Again. Okay, let me move so that it stopped making that noise. Okay, so to sulfate or not to sulfate. So there has been a very recent video that I did post basically on my regimen, where I mentioned that I do use a sulfate-based shampoo and conditioner, or a shampoo once a month. And you know what, I'm gonna be very honest, I think as a new YouTuber and as a person that is building a follower base of people that are basically interested in my content, the same way that I guess that you are in the process of learning and me being able to empower you with knowledge, I am in the same process, and I thank God that I can be in that process, because if we stop learning, then we basically can stop living. Sulfates. What is sulfates all about? What do they do? And what are the adverse effects of using sulfates on your hair? So sulfate is basically the chemical that is added to a shampoo that creates that very thick lather of foam that just makes the hair feel so nice and so clean. However, yes, it cleans the hair. However, it also strips the hair from its natural oils. It strips the hair from it makes it dull, it makes it brittle, and it basically removes the natural oils from your hair. Now, if you have kinky, coily, very tight curls, the fact is it will have the same effect across the board. You are stripping your hair from its natural oils, and if you think about it, when you remove moisture from your hair, you are causing it to basically be brittle. When it is brittle, it breaks. When it breaks, it causes split ends. So it just has this long line of the effects that it ultimately has and what it then results in. So that is one of the key things that it actually does. The other thing that I found quite interesting is the fact that babies and young children it can cause blindness or eye damage to them in particular. So this I found, and this is not, I'm not talking about nonsense, I'm talking about the fact that researchers, scientists are saying that this is what it causes. And if you ultimately had to think about it, it makes sense, because when you buy a shampoo or any type of product that needs to go onto a baby or young child's scalp, it is tear-free type products, but my child was born 11 years ago, so I'm not sure if, even though they are tear-free, are they also sulfate and paraben free. So I do hope that I'm pronouncing parabens correctly. I'm going to keep it that way because I'm not sure whether it is paraben or paraben, but yeah, I'm going to just stick with paraben. The other thing that they are basically linking sulphate to is for hair loss and thinning. And as mentioned earlier, that it has this whole interlinking of effect, that when you are doing the one and it's basically then causing this trend or this ripple effect across the board of what it is basically then doing to your hair. The other thing, it strips the hair follicles. So it is basically, I think if you had to just summarize it, it destroys a lot from your hair. It destroys your hair follicles, it just strips your hair, it damages it, it causes breakage, hair loss, thinning, and the fact that as a naturalist on this journey, you ultimately want to continue, you want to retain your length, and you're actually trying to minimize breakage, etc., etc. But by doing what I've been doing, like, you know, mixing the sulfate versus the non-sulfates, it actually is probably not a good thing. And I would say that it's, you know, keep it either natural, and yeah, so that is from a sulfate perspective and the adverse effects that it has. So when we think about now parabens or parabens, P for preservatives. So parabens are basically the things that they add into you know, the conditioners or the shampoos to preserve it from building a bacteria or any sort of fungus. However, similarly, it also has its effects. Sulfates, by the way, yes, it actually acts as an irritant. So if you are suffering from any skin condition or any scalp condition, i.e. dermatitis, eczema, it is not actually benefiting you. And the same way, ultimately, I think with these irritants, it can then ultimately cause inflammation, which is said to be also caused by sulfates as well. Parabens is exactly the same thing. They also exacerbate any skin conditions, and they also act as a sort of an irritant. Something that was of interest, and I would in fact like to read this in particular, because you know, I actually made a note of it, is the fact that, so I'm going to just read it quickly, is that parabens increase the levels of estrogen, which causes breast cancer, and it is found by scientists that they attach themselves, parabens then attach themselves to estrogen receptors. So ultimately, it actually causes more harm than damage. Furthermore, it basically just, like I said, it exacerbates allergic reactions that you may have. So it really, when I read up on all this, and when I thought, let me just, you know, consolidate all the information, it really made a lot of sense why I understand that the, you know, true naturals just stick with completely non-sulfate, non-chemically based products, and why they keep it, you could say, plant-based, because that is ultimately what is made up in the true 100% natural products that we buy. I would really still swear by sheer moisture. Sheer moisture, if you read up on the ingredients, it is 100% natural. Everything that is in the i.e. sea kelp, your oils, the shea butter, it is all natural. So I really just would probably continue then just using that as my regimen, without obviously doing the 3 times a month of non-sulfate washes and the once a month sulfate wash. I'm moving basically completely off the use of, I use Tresemme, so I'm completely not going to be using those type of products any longer. But you know, with that said, ultimately, what does all this mean? We basically just saying that everything that sulfates causes, think about non-sulfates that does the opposite. So if a sulfate-based product is removing your moisture, if it is creating dullness, if it is causing brittleness and breakage or thinning, ultimately your your non-sulfate products is in fact doing the exact opposite. So it is in fact causing, you know, moisture retention. It is treating your ends with love and tender care because of that moisture, and because there is moisture in the hair, there is less brittleness, there's less breakage, and your hair is more restorative than, you know, being in a place of being weak. So it's a lot more stronger. Your strands and your hair follicles are a lot more stronger. So that is ultimately the benefits. And I think with that said, I made notes in fact on this in terms of just listing the benefits. So I'm going to quickly read it off, and I hope you don't mind. But the benefits basically then of using non-sulfate products is that it keeps your natural oils in your hair. It does not strip your hair from those oils because it's not using any chemicals that basically does that to you. It reduces inflammation and irritation. So if you do have any skin condition, you can rest assured that the product that you're using is, you know, good basically then for you. And I think that obviously you would know, together with your dermatologist or whoever it is that you are consulting for that skin condition, what is then even the best non-sulfate that you should be using, because I know that certain herbs can also that is in products can probably also cause certain irritations. So it's just a matter of you having to consult the person that you're consulting, be it a dermatologist, your skincare specialist, to obviously advise on the correct products and stick with that. Okay, there is the moisture retention, that it retains hair color, so the dullness basically does not come when you are using non-sulfates, and already if you are using color on your hair, using non-sulfates will basically retain color and keep it, again, the moisture locked into the hair strands. It is suitable for sensitive scalps, it is tear-free, and it's obviously suitable for every hair type. So I will make a list as well on the benefits of using non-sulfates so that you can see it and read it and know that this is ultimately why you're on this journey. You know, in my, I think it was my second video I did, it was all around finding your why to transition. And I think that if you know that this is what sulfates and parabens are doing, and that is in our shampoos and conditioners, you can then just imagine what a relaxer ultimately is doing and straighteners are doing. So it really gives a lot of food for thought, and to relax or not to relax could be the next video. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Please do share. Please, sharing knowledge does not just stop with you having it in your mind, but it is exactly what it is, sharing that knowledge. You know, tell your family, tell your friends. I would like to do another video, in fact, on old school thinking or thinkers, basically our mums, and if they are still relaxing their hairs, how can we evangelize them into this movement? Because yeah, we ultimately natural hair evangelists. That is, sorry, I just call myself that because I really do love taking and pulling people into this movement. And I'm glad that I did it without, you know, because there is a bigger purpose. We are keeping one another actually accountable and responsible, and we are helping one another actually be the better version of ourselves, but most of all, a healthier version of ourselves at this point in time, because it is really a journey and we are moving into being better beings. So I really hope that you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for tuning in. As I've mentioned, please do share, please do comment. If there's anything that you'd like to share about or anything I may have missed, please do actually share it with everybody in the comment section, so that we are all on this learning journey together. But keep well. God bless. Thank you. Bye bye.